And welcome YouTube to the Daily Space Weather. This is a composite imagery of the last 4 days. We wanted to include 4 days here in colorized magnetogram and just regular magnetogram actually, and 171 angstroms because of that sunspot group. It is quite huge. It's one of the most it might be the most interesting sunspot group of solar cycle 25 so far. It's got highly complex magnetic fields, especially in the trailing umbrae. This area right in the back of that main sunspot group, quite magnetically complex. Don't be surprised to see additional major flares from it. We've got some additional coronal mass ejection links for you to share today as well. Another exciting day in space weather. The radial flux now at 173. Let's take a look at Earth's magnetic moment from space. So this is the last 4 hours modeled in magnetohydrodynamic pressure, nanopascals. And we do have an elevated coronal hole high-speed stream continuing here. Let's take a look at Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. This is the past 4 hours, modeled in nanotesla magnetic flux density. And this imagery will show you the most likely places for aurorae, for induced electrical current in electrical grids, pipelines, and railroad tracks. Anyway, Planetary K Index at 2. It's a calm geomagnetic condition despite the high-speed coronal hole wind. And I would expect additional pulses here. So I would expect to see this density drop down and this solar wind speed to go even higher than this. Current conditions are a bit elevated here at 535 kilometers per second. Solar wind density 10.7 protons per cubic centimeter. Again, I'm guessing we're going to see the density drop and the velocity go a little higher than this. Maybe even approaching 600 kilometers per second. Next, some magnetic data. Here are the GOES magnetometers, and Earth is just entering a South Pole current sheet. So this little period of time right here may well represent the new heliospheric current sheet. We often see some sort of divergent readings coming from the GOES 16 and 17 at those moments. Anyway, here's a visualization of the current sheet. The plasma coming from the sun is polarized to one pole or the other. And Earth is just snapping into a South Pole current sheet as we record the video. So here's your South Pole current sheet. Here's the heliospheric North Pole current sheet. There are two of them at any given point in time, at least two polarities. Sometimes it splits up into many of them, but at the moment that's what's going on. So here's the line of sight view. You can see how much magnetic organization happening in the earthly side of the sun at the moment. It's a quite active solar cycle indeed. Next, moving to coronal holes. Here's our coronal hole line of sight plot, and we've got some transequatorial South Pole oriented coronal holes moving in here in the east. So we call this the east side of the sun because this is the side on which space weather rises. This is called the west because that's where things like sunspots, coronal holes, etc. set. So that's why that's the east and that's the west. It's all heliocentric. So here's a view of it in extreme ultraviolet, 193 angstroms from the Solar Dynamics Observatory. And these coronal holes over here in the east will get more and more defined in the coming days. They are certainly there. There's just a lot of bumpy plasma in between us and them, or in this case between the SDO and them, in its rather high orbit. Next, moving to sunspots. We've got a lot of sunspots. About 10 named groups here. 3007 is just setting, but let's count it anyway. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. At least 8 named groups at the moment. And 3019 just got named yesterday. That just rose. This active region down here, not a sunspot at the moment. But 3014's just produced an M-class flare. And yeah, it's quite interesting indeed. So here's the 1700 angstroms view. And that is a magnetically complex sunspot. So it's quite likely to continue to produce major flares. It just produced an M-class flare. And we'll get into that in a moment. First, go check us out on Twitch if you haven't. We stream live regularly to Twitch, twitch.tv/SmashoMash. It's spectacular live streaming platform for the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. Thanks to our YouTube viewers regardless. Pardon the pathetic censorship on the platform. Also, consider becoming a member of the Smash team. We send out email pushes. We sent out one yesterday because of a tsunami alert. Yes, we send out email pushes. And gold and silver members get access to content nobody else gets to see. So help us out that way. It's a little superior to Patreon. Today's featured product is the Galactic Federation Special Forces motto and unit patch. Universum Liberate. If I could wave my magic wand, I'd set everybody free. Do you yearn for freedom and liberty? Do you feel a bit enslaved? Well, buy a conversation starter with the Universum Liberate products. Notice how there are no masks included on the list. Yes, it's because, well, I'm not going to divulge why it is. Let us know in the comments if you have a theory as to why we're not selling masks with the Universum Liberate unit patch and motto. Anyway, if you're sick of the earthly special forces and you're sick of the Space Force, consider becoming a supporter of the Galactic Federation Special Forces with the motto Universum Liberate. The symbolism is a key and a lightning bolt and a spiral. The key represents security and signal strength. The lightning bolt represents instantaneous reach to traverse the galaxy, and the spiral represents the galaxy. Once again, Universum Liberate. To each of you. You can find links to it at smashomash.com, so welcome to the Neo-Renaissance. You can also find all kinds of other links to our social media, like Patreon. Give Smash staff a raise by dropping us a few bucks a month. You can also find links to the Discord chat at the homepage. There it is, a permanent Discord invite. You need an invite to join the Discord chat, and there it is. We've placed it on the homepage. There's a link to the merch. There's the link to the Smash Team site. And if you're not seeing all the content showing up on your feed, just click posts on the Smash Team site. We typically make all of our videos public. All the public videos are visible on the posts page at smashomash.com/smashteam. Next, go into the Proton Flux. We don't see any spikes in it despite a recent significant flare. So we had an M-class flare here. It was an M3.0. And peak flux was around 740 this morning on May 20th. Again, no relativistic particles showed up. But there's that flare. And here's yesterday and today in 94 angstroms. We'll zoom in a little bit for maximum aesthetic value. You see right at the end a M-class flare coming from this area right here. Right about there, just keep your eye on that region, and there's that M-class flare. Next we'll show a star chart. I'm facing the south, and so is my star chart. It's where the ecliptic is located. That's the path the sun will take across the sky, represented by the yellow line here. The blue line is the galactic plane. And let's move on to a solar system forecast. Here's a 7-day forecast for the solar system and the location of heavenly bodies therein. Here's where things will be in 7 days. We'll have a crescent waning as Earth creeps up to pass Saturn and Mars and Jupiter on its orbit. Next, some coronagraph imagery. We've got some extra bonuses here for you today. We're going to show the Stereo A imagery. It's located at Lagrange 5, and the Discover Soho Lasco C3 imagery located at Lagrange 1. And there were some CMEs. They do not appear to be earthly directed. This one you see over here on the left will be missing the Earth to the northwest. We showed that one yesterday, actually. And we just returned 90 frames for each of these, so they are showing a little bit different time frames there. No earthly directed coronal mass ejections at the moment. There's one late in the day on the far side of the sun. For you new viewers out there, Earth would be off in this direction from the perspective of the stereo A coronagraph. Again, it's located here at Lagrange point 5, trailing the Earth orbitally, seeing space weather ahead, hence the name stereo A. The A stands for ahead, because we get a little bit of advanced notice, for example, of sunspots rising, and great perspective on the trajectory of coronal mass ejections. So just another resource here for you if you'd ever like to look it out. Check it out. It's you can find it at spaceweather.gmu.edu/seeds. You can find all these links and some great imagery there. It's sorted by day, so you can just conveniently click on a day and it'll bring up this nice little viewer system that shows PNG files. So if there's a frame that you'd like to grab there, it's great for that. You can speed up and slow down and change the frame rate and so on. Spectacular imagery there. And let's close out with another 4-day series of images from the SDO of Sunspot 3014 and the associated active regions. How you like them apples? That's 304 and 171 angstroms. Ionized helium is 304 angstroms. Ionized iron is 171 angstroms. Once again, likelihood of large solar flares very high. And it's time for us to say very bye. And thanks for tuning in, each of you YouTube viewers. Once again, congratulations on realizing the channel exists. And may that solar wind be at your back. Opinions expressed in this video, not necessarily the opinions of Smash News Network, least busted name in news.